Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay guys, this was posted quite a while ago. Human rights abuse in Scientology, the chain lockers. Some of the most alarming allegations against L. Ron Hubbard come from the time when he took to the sea with his most dedicated followers. The degree of control that this situation gave Hubbard allowed him to unleash the most degrading punishments on his subordinates, even children. From an interview with Kima Douglas, Scientologists keep a record of that name, Kima Douglas. The chain locker on the ship was large, lit during the day through the hole where the chain went through. There was a bucket for a toilet. I know children were put in there and kept overnight. LAPD, FBI, Department of Justice. Is that enough abuse? From an interview with David Mayo, they used to have people locked in the chain locker, including small children. It was very dangerous because if the anchor started to slip and start running out, it would turn a body into pulp in no time at all. I saw children locked up in the chain locker. He had a birthday party on March 13th, 1968. There was a woman who he ordered locked in the chain locker. So apparently he was just as much of a savage as David Miscavige. And David Miscavige is not the only one who is a savage. March 13th, 1968. There was a woman he ordered locked in the chain locker. Because, you know, all religions lock people in chain lockers. During the party, he had her brought out. That's humiliation. Maybe a humiliation ritual? She was pretty dirty. He brought her out to the party. I wonder what her name was. He said he was giving her a reprieve and permitting her to come to the party, as if that was a nice gesture. She still wasn't allowed to wash or change. Make sure she's just as humiliated as possible. Devalue. So she was brought to the party and had to stay, and later she was returned to the locker. How many people went along with this as well? I know what I would have done, but I can't say it on the internet. He said he was giving her a reprieve, but it was just flaunting her degradation. Yeah, humiliation ritual. It had looked like things were lightening up a little. People thought maybe things were getting better. Then this happened and people were shocked, and it gave us a sinister chill. She was in a dress. I do wonder what her name was. Everybody forgets names. It's crazy. I mean, you never know. Maybe they're trying to protect them. That's possible. From time to time, Hubbard would cancel such activities, like the chain locker, and blame it on someone else. Typical narcissist. He said that no one was to be put into the chain locker by his order or decree. And Baron Berez was an evil monster for having chain lockered people. Baron was a U.S. crew member and went into disfavor. He would start such pronouncements with, "It has just come to my attention that." The length of the time for children would vary. FBI, Department of Justice, Child Protective Services, U.S. Immigration, U.S. Consulates. Does locking children in chain lockers, does that constitute as neglect, physical abuse, child exploitation? Is that enough? The length of time for children would vary, but no one was there less than a day. The average was a week or two. 3 weeks was about the maximum. Age didn't matter. The youngest kids were 5, 6, or 7. Old, young, men, women, big, little, it wouldn't matter because to Scientologists, the being is ageless, so you don't think in terms of how young or old someone is. He could be capable of incredible cruelty. He's not the only one. That's where it's really irritating. Everybody's like, oh, David Miscavige, David Miscavige, David Miscavige. L. Ron Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard. You're all going along with it. It's not just Miscavige or Hubbard. He could be capable of incredible cruelty. On the ship, there was an old man on the Royal Scotsman who he made push a peanut round the decks with his nose. I heard this one before. He had to get down on his hands and knees, because humiliate them as much as possible. Wonder how much he paid for that. He had to go around the deck quite a long distance in a race with 1 or 2 others also in trouble. Were they PTS? The first one back got let off, and the last one got a double penalty. It was really rough on this old guy, Charlie Riesdorf. The surface of the deck was very rough wood, prone to splinter, so after pushing peanuts with their noses, they all had raw bleeding noses, leaving a trail of blood behind them. I not only saw it, but the entire crew of the ship was mustered. A mandatory attendance. We were required to watch this punishment, to make an example of it for the rest of us. Riesdorf was in his late 50s probably. His 2 daughters were messengers. You guys look into it. Go find out what was happening to those young female messengers. And mind you, a lot of these women that were on those ships, they don't talk about it. And I don't like that. His 2 daughters were messengers. They were 11 or 12 at the time. Did he sacrifice his young daughters? That sounds like a sacrifice, doesn't it? And his wife was there also. See, that's why I know it had to be really, really, really bad conditions. But without saying too much, you're on the ship in the middle of an ocean. And that's all I'm going to say. It was hard to say which was worse to watch. This old guy with a bleeding nose or his wife and kids sobbing and crying at being forced to watch this. Hubbard was standing there calling the shots, yelling, faster, faster. Do you guys wonder what happened to his son, Quentin Hubbard? I don't believe the story that was told. Oh, maybe it was a shore story. It was indignity, degradation, and breaking a person's will, and making people watch. It was disgusting. Wonder if Rinder knows about that. Or Rathburn. Or Hebergench. Or Mark Headley. Do they know about that too? Otto Roos. Rusty old tanks way below in the ship. Filthy bilge water. No air except via oxygen tubes. And hardly sitting height, in which sinners were put from 24 hours to a week, day and night, to hammer rust off the insides with master-at-arms, checking outside to hear if the hammering continued, and occasional food out of a bucket. This was like the concentration camps from my childhood days. Wow, so he was a Holocaust survivor? Isn't that crazy? I personally feel like a lot of people died on those ships. Really easy to just throw a body overboard, wasn't it? So anyways, you guys, I will put the link to this blog post in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Have a good day or night. Peace.